Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 78 of the Own the Moment podcast. My name is TJ Lasig. I'm one of the co-founders here at OTM. And of course, there's a lot going on. We've got basketball back. We've got Mikey Williams charter NFT that I know Justin's dealing with. I got the Sixers on behind me. We've got Owners Club in full swing. Excited to get into tonight, Justin. What's going on?
How's it going? Welcome back, TJ. Traveling the world, Mr. New York, getting a sneak peek, a little taste of New York before we're all going up in about a week and a half or change. Doing well, though. I'm doing well.
Yeah, I got a little sneak peek in New York on Monday. City's alive and well, so excited to be there in a couple of weeks. For those of you, again, if you have not seen it yet, we've put in the newsletter. It's been in Discord. We tweeted it out. If you're around New York on November 1st, we will be there having a little get-together at Tap House 33. So looking forward to that. Bach, how we doing tonight? NBA DFS grind for you, or what's going on?
Yeah, it started last night, and then I messed something up today, really threw our process for a loop. So let's just pretend it starts tomorrow,
There we go. Nice, slow stumble into the NBA season. All right, we've got a lot to cover tonight. We're going to review week 6, go through the top scores, the winning lineups. We had our, of course, first full versions of Lowball and Island of Misfit cards. Shout out to Carl in the chat with there it is, Misfits, baby. Saw that he was the first one in the chat. Congrats on the win there. And then we'll dive right into the week 7, talk through our strategy. Lots of bye weeks happening this week, go through our optimal lineup. And then we got a new little Thursday night football game, Justin, for the people.
Yeah, they'll be good. But yeah, no, I remember during best ball season, this is the week that everyone was dreading. This is the week we decided we were all going to go take on vacation. You've got, I'm going off the top of my head, Bach, I'm sure you've probably got it up or more familiar, but we got Cowboys. We have Steeler. Who's on bye this week? There are 6 teams, and it's crazy. It's a lot of the big teams. Buffalo, Cowboys.
Buffalo, Dallas, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and the Los Angeles Thunder Horsies. That's what we call them, right?
It's okay. The Chargers are actually on bye. There is a football team in the NFL called the Los Angeles Chargers, and that team is on bye this weekend, and we can say that. Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting week. And then when we think about the TOC implications, like a lot of your best cards from the Buffalo, from the Dallas, from those Thunder Horses are strong cards from like, hey, these are my main event teams. So I think this kind of gives an additional boost to your Kansas City, your Arizona, your Tampa, your LA Goats. But then it also just, it gives those middle tiers a better chance of kind of moving up, because now you have fewer teams, fewer of those kind of large breakout, big bomber teams to actually, contend against. So I think this is going to be a fun week.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about last week. How do you get ahead of that before everyone's trying to get ahead of that? And now everyone, I'm sure, is reacting to those teams being on bye. Hopefully you listened last week. If you did and you paid attention in Monday or on the Sunday London game, you would have gotten the highest scoring tight end in the of the week again. So there's so much edge if you're thinking a little bit ahead, and I think that's where the people who are listening to this show are doing that, and we're going to try to help.
I mean, even take a look at Jay Timber. So Jay Timber won the main event this week, had an absolute sweat on Monday night, and even he realized, oh crap, if I would have been paying a little more attention instead of paying attention to his DFS lineups, he would have got the, was it Atlanta tight end or Arizona? What we said? No, not Arizona. Arizona got 0. Atlanta. Miami. Yeah, Gesicki. So he would have put the Miami tight end in, and that would have given him an extra, I think, 4 points compared to going with the Kansas City or who he went with. And like
Tampa Bay.
Tampa, there you go. Okay. Yeah. But he knew that, like, right. Probably should have taken that 17, knew it was a strong enough score, and almost cost him. But, it was great to see after what happened to him the week before with kind of the last second loss, pulled it out, and he'll be joining us in Miami.
Love it. Congrats. And breaking news, I just got word that week 7 contests are live. So if you want to, if you're watching the show, you can go ahead and start registering now. All right, before we dive too deep into things, Justin, there's 1 or 2 things that you wanted to make sure that we cover regarding I Got It and the Mikey Williams stuff and all of that, and then we'll jump right into the week 6 overview.
Yeah, so we'll go quick. So first off, from a giveaways perspective, they are continuing to bring the fire. Alvin Kamara jersey last week. Someone from the OTM TOC, I think, won the Tyreek Hill that the signed jersey they did a giveaway for. And then this week we have a Tony Gonzalez Kansas City Chiefs signed jersey. Mr. Tony Gonzalez saving lives. Probably one of like the craziest that after retirement, or maybe one was he was actually still playing, but someone was choking, saved their life there. Then he ran into a guy, tackled him or something, and that person ended up getting a brain check and they had a tumor. So saved that guy's life too. Crazy Tony Gonzalez stories off the field, almost as good as his actual on the field. And then what they launched today was that NFT charter program. And so we'll show a quick video just to give that a high level. I think from the football lens, what I'm most excited for is they're going to be rolling out this same NFT charter memberships to the NFL. And the first two players they're doing it with are Aaron Donald and Tyreek Hill. So probably the best defensive player in the league right now. And probably arguably the top wide receiver in the league right now. So obviously starting off with big names. The high level for these is you basically pay one time to get their NFT charter membership. I think it's either $50 or $60. And then for the rest of that player's career, it has exclusive rights to their NFTs that they create. And so you then get exclusive rights to their NFTs for literally $1 each time. So you're just paying $1. It's kind of like a way to kind of share in their success. And they think of it as dividends where I pay that $50, $60. I get that initial NFT, the charter membership. And then from there, you're just paying $1 to get them. And there's a secondary market. There's speculative aspects. I'll show a quick little video here that I think gives a description. And then love to hear your guys' thoughts, and then we can move forward.
I Got It is revolutionizing the NFT industry and the way fans interact with their favorite athletes. For all of its young athletes, I Got It will be issuing a limited drop of charter member NFTs in an initial NFT offering. Owners of the charter member NFT for each athlete will have the exclusive right to buy follow-on event NFTs for as long as they hold the charter member NFT. Event NFTs will be issued only to charter member holders and revolve around significant events on and off the court or field. I Got It will host a secondary marketplace for both charter member NFTs and event NFTs. Do you believe in a young, new athlete? Buy multiple charter member NFTs and enjoy their success as their career progresses. I Got It works with the best teams in the NFL, NBA, and Pro Football Hall of Fame, and it is changing the digital collectible landscape. We have over 40 athletes in the pipeline. If you are an expert and know who's going to be great, open an account and buy your athlete NFTs today.
Cool video. Very cool.
Yeah,
video.
it's a strong sizzle there. And I think it does a pretty good job explaining it. But yeah, I see some people in the chat talking about the Mikey Williams one. So those actually did a stealth launch today. I believe there's going to be a bit more of a media frenzy around it tomorrow. And then I was trying to think if I can say. I don't want to say, but I believe there's going to be a strong media blitz around it tomorrow. And then so today they are for sale for people who were early adopters, who were in that Discord. Coop, if we could just put the link in the chat there, people can go. But definitely pumped for, I see, looking forward to De'Aaron. It's funny because they haven't actually even announced that they're doing MBAs, but if you look in the Discord, you can see that they have a list of the players on there. So I think good job by Hildestrand, kind of deductive reasoning there, I'd call it. Bach, have you ever met De'Aaron Fox?
I feel like we have met De'Aaron Fox now that I think about it. We had talked to him about NFTs, right?
That's true. You were wearing the same shirt you're wearing now. I was actually looking at that picture the other day. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay. Yeah. Did you guys? What do you guys think? What are you guys up to?
No, I love it. I think it's cool stuff. I think everything about the charter membership and just, I know you guys touched on it more in depth on Monday, but didn't give a chance to just think. I think it's a cool concept and looking forward to seeing this roll out, not just for Mikey, but some other athletes in the future.
And then there's if you go to the OTM site on the right-hand side, you'll see we put an article that kind of gives a bit more information. And I did the kind of typical Herzig bot analysis with the NFT value theorem, kind of just detailing how I'd be kind of assessing it as an opportunity aspect.
Cool. Alrighty. Shall we dive into the week 6 recap first?
Let's go.
Let's do it up. All right.
Let's do it.
We're going to start by just doing a high-level look here at the top 5 scoring positions as well as the lowest 5. And one of the things that definitely stood out to me, at least in a couple of the contests, like the Misfit, which we'll get into, is the number of people from the Thursday and Sunday games prior to lock that were used. I mean, you look at the 5 lowest scores, and my Philadelphia is just all over the place. We've got Philadelphia running back coming in at dead last, Philadelphia wide receiver second to last, Philadelphia defense tied for second to last. So, yeah, people are definitely utilizing those. And I think I said this on the show last time, but I do think for the low ball, it's even more interesting because, 18.2 from Miami tight end Sunday morning, that's solid, but you don't actually expect that to be the highest scoring. Whereas, when a running back puts up 6.7, I'm feeling pretty confident that that's going to be tough to beat or to not beat, I should say. So, yeah. And then, I think I was also surprised to see Cincinnati quarterback and running back as the top 2 there. So what were your guys' thoughts on last week overall? And then we'll dive into the specific contest winners.
Yeah, I mean, just to start, relatively speaking, a lower scoring week, right? Like the top scores we saw, quarterback, running back has been about there, and wide receiver, the very top score has been about there, but quarterback and tight end, lowest winning scores or lowest high scores that we've seen through 6 weeks. That's going to happen. This is another good week to bet on a kind of lower high score, just given the teams we already touched on are on bye. You don't often see the quarterback running back combo at the top of from the same team at the top of both, like you saw from Cincinnati. And I mean, just kind of a fluky series of events where they threw the ball to the running backs a lot. I can't tell you that's a strategy that I'm ever going to be super high on, stacking quarterback and running back in the same lineup. But you did see some stacks in here as you look through it, right? You see Buffalo quarterback, Buffalo wide receiver, Arizona quarterback, Arizona wide receiver, Dallas quarterback, Dallas wide receiver, Minnesota, quarterback and wide receiver are just so correlated. And if you're not correlating those in your lineup, I think you've got to get a lot of stuff right. That doesn't mean it can't win. We've seen it win, but you got to get a lot more stuff right if you're not correlating your quarterback and your wide receiver. We touch on it every week for good.
And 2 of them are even a double stack. So Dallas and Minnesota, they have both. Yeah. They have all 3, quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end, all in the top 5. So,
yeah, I mean, for a quarterback to finish number 1 or to finish very high and only be one of those, you expect like in Arizona there where it's near the top. I mean, it's funny because Arizona wide receivers finish at the top. Well, okay, but their QB did pretty well, 5th overall, but tight ends didn't steal any points, literally 0 points. So almost all of it probably went to that wide receiver position. And then, yeah, the Bengals one in Cincinnati is pretty interesting because, I mean, Bach, I know you're obviously a Bengals fan, but Chris Evans had a pretty crazy receiving touchdown. Right, yeah. Mixon had his. I think Uzoma had one, and then someone else, a wide receiver. Oh, Auden Tate. It was such a weird, yeah.
Right. It was some backup wide receiver.
It was Auden Tate.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, when you think if the Bengals are going to go off, you're thinking Tyler Boyd, you're thinking Jamar Chase, you're thinking T. Higgins, maybe CG. That was a pretty wonky one. But then, hey, when you play Detroit, anything can happen. And that's one of the teams that will continue to kind of be targeting from an offensive standpoint. And I think from a macro sense, and this is probably something that we've started seeing in the past year or two, and something from an analytics I'm trying to dive further into from a DFS side. But you just have some teams that it doesn't matter how much they are up, they continue just to pass. And that pass over expectation is a kind of a decent stat there. But when I think about it from a larger DFS side, I'm trying to figure out who are these kind of blowout proof teams where I can invest in an offense and not have to worry that they're just going to go up so much that they're just going to go into this Green Bay Packers, slow down the game, just trudge through. And I think if Joe Burrow is healthy and that offensive line is a little better than we're thinking, that might be one of those teams. We know the others include the Buffalo, the LA Rams, the Tampa, I guess Oakland. We haven't seen it happen yet, but they're just passing so much. There's a couple of those teams, and those would be ones that I'd be really trying to start looking at for these, for trying to win that main event, just knowing that, hey, these teams are willing to just keep going at it, and it doesn't matter if their opponent keeps up or not.
Speaking of the main event, there we have it. Jay Timber at the top. Got the Arizona quarterback wide receiver stack. Arizona QB wide receiver has just been all over it, whether it's in the main event, whether it's in the side hustle. So definitely, I think one of the recurring cards that we tend to see up at the top. But here we have it. You can see a lot of Tennessee running back in the action. You can see, Cincinnati running back, not that many of them still, despite the fact that they were the top scoring one, which probably speaks to, I didn't look at the ownership percentages, but probably speaks to the fact that it's just not as high owned as something like Tennessee. But anything that you guys sticking out to you as we look at the top 10 in the main event here, and then we'll look at the other contest as well.
Bach, you take this. I'm pulling up some ownership because I'm curious, just as TJ was saying, about that kind of that ownership for Cincy.
Yeah, I think that, the thing that stands out to me, because scoring was so tight at so many positions, you can still land in the top 10 with the third highest scoring running back, which I think we said Tennessee was, and the third highest scoring wide receiver group, which Buffalo was. Like, everything was so tight this week. And you look at the scoreboard, 1st to 10, about 6 points. But we touched on it already a little bit. The thing that stands out to me is everything in the top 10, except for one, was a quarterback wide receiver stack, and just you got to be there.
Cincinnati running back was 3% owned in the main event.
There you go.
There you have it.
Even against Detroit, even in arguably the top matchup you can have.
Yeah, and I think there's some edge there, because I think for a lot of people, you're kind of in there in that set it and forget it mode, and there'll probably be some having to tinker and stuff as we get to buys and stuff. But for the people who are kind of paying attention to this show, who are paying attention to the actual opponents, the projections, like that kind of thing, there's an edge. And I think the next edge that now that we have these ownership is for people to kind of start looking, because I don't think, if we know Cincinnati was only 3% against Detroit, either one of two things happened. Either a lot of people are like, oh, Cincinnati's actually a great card and I'm going to start playing them. And we'll probably see a little increase because of that. But the other is just, do we expect that, hey, on that next opponent, like if it's a difficult one or an easy one, are people going to adapt? And I think you can use that across. Denver at 3% as well down here. Who did Denver play last week? Does anybody remember that?
I'm not recalling off the top of my head.
Is it Oakland or Las Vegas? I do that every week.
It may have been. It was, which they lost by 10, but that's also a pretty decent opponent for Denver. And that's a game where if Denver actually takes a lead in these games, those two running backs can go off, because that is the majority of their offense there. So that's another, I would be kind of going through these ownership and thinking hey, where do I have potential leverage against the field? And that's exactly what happened in that main event with those Cincy teams.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And then we've got the side hustle. So what we'll notice here is that it's the first week that it's not littered with a stack of people from the same team, but it's still littered with overlap in terms of people now, 3 people playing the Buffalo QB, Arizona wide receiver combination, 3 people playing the Cincinnati running back, Arizona wide receiver combo, and then a string of people with Dallas QB, Arizona wide receiver. So Arizona wide receiver must have in the side hustle for last week, mixed in with a couple different quarterbacks there. No one had the optimal, though. It would have been Cincinnati quarterback, because they just scored slightly more than Buffalo. But, interesting to see here, because we always say if you don't have a low serial combination, don't stack them. Well, now what do you say to Lemmings that comes in 10th with a Dallas quarterback, Arizona wide receiver? Do we need to get even more off the board than we originally thought in order to be unique in the side hustle?
10th, but 4th if that would have won. If that would have won, to get 4th with a 344 serial, you're getting $500. That's not bad. What you definitely don't want is having the 344 serial and getting 30th. And that's what we've seen some of these same team stacks. You're literally now playing for the $100 aspect, maybe even the 50 if it's just that. So that common, your serials are that bad.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think that, getting third with, having the same lineup, being Claymaker and getting third in the same lineup as first stinks. But at the same time, to get any more different there, you're sacrificing so much in terms of projection. And I think that's the thing that you have to balance is, you can try to upgrade your serials on these top end cards, but at some point, you either don't have the funds to do that, or you're already differentiating, which I would call this already differentiated. There's being smart about, like Justin said, not finishing in a 30-way tie, and then there's fancy play syndrome. And I think we're starting to get to fancy play if we go much further there.
Love it. Yeah, that's when we got to make it all the way to fancy play syndrome. When all of a sudden, you might play a Philadelphia player in the side hustle if you really want to get off the board. Speaking of Philadelphia players,
first we get the FPS, then we get the Galaxy brain. I mean, it's a slippery slope there. Be careful.
Look at this. A lot of green here, and I'm not talking about money. It's like the opposite of green. We've got 3.
How you feel about that, Tej?
But well. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of crazy. But also, it's interesting because we knew that these were the scores going into Sunday. So I think that is an interesting dynamic when it comes to the low ball. Because like I was saying before, there's just so much more of a lock when the scores are that low. And then, you throw in this is pretty much like knowing that after Thursday, that's pretty much the optimal lineup you can make in terms of just locking in as few points as possible. But, yeah, here we have it, our first low ball of the year.
All right, 27.42. Over under. Do we think majority of them are going to be high? Like, majority of the low ball winners going forward will be higher or lower?
This feels really low. I feel like getting a 0, I feel, is going to be a little rare. Or do you think there'll always be a 0 tight end, 0 defense? This feels low. But
I think there will always be a 0 tight end. We have seen it before. I think this is like 2 out of 6 weeks, I think, that we've seen it.
Quarterback too.
But I think there's a lot of 1s and 2s out there at tight end, right? I think the difference is going forward, we only have 1 pre-lock game, at least until we get to Thanksgiving week. And I think that's the big differentiator is we've only got 1 pre-lock game. So there's just fewer things to know that are going to be that bad. And that means you've got to have more go wrong or right in the wrong way in this case. Just like we said, I don't think that this will be the lowest low ball winner we see this year, but I think the majority of them will be over this.
And just such a unique case with all the low scores that came in on Thursday. So you could just lock them in. So it's easier to get that kind of unique combination. And then we've got the final contest, Island of Misfit cards. A little bit of a variety here. So lots of Miami in there, which is an interesting one because, like we said, 18.2 is not what I would have guessed would be the optimal if you told me before lock. But, certainly not a terrible score and definitely very solid for Miami. And then, we got some overlap here with the defenses. But I think that this will be a fun contest. And this is, go, Justin.
What jumps out to me is that these were not their misfit cards. These were purposeful selections for these spots, specifically Miami and, LA Goats. They knew going into this that Miami was a very good score. And so all these people, Plunge Father, Bet the House, Munificent, all of them made conscious efforts like, hey, I think I have a chance at winning the misfits and I'm going to use Miami. And then same thing with, LA Goats. Think we called that as our optimal. If not, we really loved it. We really liked it. So those are 2 solid cards. And I think that's where it's interesting. Are these just going to be, how often are you going to put your really 2 best cards winning? Because hey, if you can get that 450, if you can get 100, 200, that's pretty solid when all you're doing is using a tight end in defense. Also, you could have purchased the Miami card off the secondary marketplace and combined it with one of these, probably the LA Goats DST, and more than made up for what your price would have been for both those cards.
Yeah, I do think Miami's an interesting case this week. Coming in at 18.2 pre-lock, I think you're expecting it to be good. You're not expecting it to be the highest scoring of the week. And so I'd be interested to know what Carl put in for his other tight ends in his main event lineups.
You just calling him Carl? You're just like best friends now? He
That's
comes
his
in, he
name
buys a
in,
couple packs,
chat.
he's in chat and stuff. We're just going to go with Carl?
All right. Well, sorry, Carl, if I was too forward there. But what bet the house, I'd be interested to know what tight ends he played in his main event lineups. But, I think I definitely think that when we've talked about it, going for the win there, has probably some gives you some leverage because a lot of people aren't going to play their best cards there.
TJ, your mind is exactly where mine was. I was curious how many people played Kansas City tight end because how many people?
Yeah. So first I was looking at Miami because with Miami, like we said, we had that score locked in. 6.8% played them in the main event. 1.5 in the side hustle. 1.5 in the low ball. That's an interesting choice. I had one of my friends. I was hanging out with on Sunday said to me, my Miami quarterback really ruined my low ball lineup. And I said, Brett, you could have changed that before the game started. You know that they got like 20-something points. So that's probably what happened to these 1.5%. Anyways, I do think it's interesting.
You tried to protect his anonymity to begin with by going with my friend. And then you're like,
Then I was like, shout out, Brett. I don't know if he listens to the podcast. Probably not. But we've got Kansas City tight end at 13% in the main event, 8% in the side hustle, but then only 2.7% in the island of misfit cards, which is interesting because, Also, I don't know. I don't think we have jokers included in this, but that's crazy. 2.7% seems like insane leverage, no?
The side hustle versus the misfit cards. That's what's throwing me off.
Oh, that's
Who's putting a Kansas City tight end in the side hustle? Like, it's an amazing card, but Kansas City tight end is not going to be able to put up, like, very, very rarely going to put up a 35 spot and giving you a chance at winning the side hustle. But, like, you put in the island of misfit cards, and that's like a far and away, I don't know, plus 150 card to finish as like the top overall. Probably like plus 250 or something.
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane. I can't imagine putting it in the side hustle, right? I can't imagine, especially now that we've got the island of misfit cards contest. Like, I don't know why you would ever have a Kansas City tight end.
A lot of people did it.
I don't want to shame. I'm willing to do a one-on-one quick coaching session. If you played a Kansas City tight end in the side hustle, shoot me a DM, give me your explanation. I want to hear it. And then we'll see if I can't convince you not to do it ever again.
There it is. So shout out to everyone that won some cash in week 6. Remember, you can get in there, buy some packs, buy some cards with your OTM balance. Simply open up a support ticket in the Discord. We'll get you all hooked up. A bunch of people were in there buying packs today with their winnings. And how did our lineup do? We had Buffalo QB. That was good. And I think we did good, except for tight end. But tight end wasn't terrible. This was a good lineup.
No, tight end was
based
fine.
on everything I saw. Yeah, tight end's
fine.
Yeah, I think everyone was on the top 5. All of these positions were top 5.
Can we do some math real quick?
We should start doing that before the show.
Yeah, I thought we would. But no, I think this is really good content. I think people enjoy watching us do this really quick and deliberate math. I'm going to go to leaderboard. I guess research is probably better.
We would have cashed for sure.
Yeah, but we're figuring this out. All right, real quick. Team scoring weekly. Let me at least share my screen so people can see me doing this. Give them a little entertainment.
Oh, this is a view inside the bot. I'm about to see an Excel sheet. Oh, well, you got to get the scores.
No, we're going to just do it from here. I'm going to do some mental math real quick. Okay. You got to give me. So we got Buffalo
quarterback.
So we got 35.72.
And wide receiver. Plus 42.
Plus wide receiver 42. We're at 78 right now.
Dallas running back.
Throwing in Dallas.
127.62.
You got it?
Wow.
Yeah. I knew somebody played it. I just didn't. It took me a bit to find it. Yeah, 127.62. We would have cashed for $50, and we would have tied with a few other people, including our friend Waz, and NFT nerd, Third Eye Waltmester at number 145. So a cash, but not bringing home the bacon.
What was our total you said?
145. That's rank 145.
Oh, wow.
Man, way down there. We got to step up our game.
It's hard. Yeah.
We're just grinding min cashes.
I mean, that's not a bad way to live, though. All right. So what did we? 12.6. I thought Jody had a touchdown, but I guess not.
I don't think so.
No, I knew Kelsey had the 99 yards because couldn't get that one more yard for DraftKings.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Yes,
Stogie.
Sergeant
That
Stogie.
means a lot to us.
True professionals.
Yeah, 18.2 isn't great for Dallas. That was the letdown there.
SB Mitchell is frustrated at watching you navigate.
We didn't submit. We don't own the cards.
No, but you can search by user. Like you could type in like Waz, I guess, as a user. Well, that's true. We do not have a lineup issued, to be fair. But
there you go.
I guess that would have worked. So there we go. Everyone, hopefully you guys noticed over the weekend. A couple new features to the leaderboard, a little bit smoother and mobile, more compact view, add in search user functionality. We've got some more changes that are going to be coming up. We're trying to, add a little extra flavor each and every week. So, shout out to the engineering team, crushing it. And let's move on to the next week. As we said, we're no longer going to go deep into the game by game or position by position. But I know you guys gave some high-level thoughts on the slate. We've got the 6 teams that are on bye, especially some of the bigger names like Buffalo, Dallas, etc. How do you guys think that impacts this week at a high-level strategy? Do you think it's going to be a high-scoring week, low-scoring week? And then we'll quickly run through our optimal at each position.
Yeah, I mean, overall scoring expectation, I think the high end is probably still going to be around what we've seen, the kind of the top of the leaderboard. We've got a couple of kind of insane team totals this week, 4 teams over 30, and a couple or 3 of those teams over 30 at 2 touchdown Vegas odds. Those are always tricky. We've talked about this on the show, right? If your team's supposed to put up 31 and win by 17, which is I think what Arizona's at right now, 32 and win by 17.5, like how to play that, there's clearly a ton of upside in the Arizona cards, the Arizona passing game cards, like there has been all season. There's also probably more risk to those than there is in a normal week, because if they get out to a big lead, they can sit on it. And so I think, the top of the scores are probably going to be around what we've seen. I think that like middle range, I think the drop off to that second tier and third tier in terms of like total points needed to finish 100th, 200th is going to be a little steeper than it normally is with so much depth out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This is kind of what I was alluding to earlier in the show where, Los Angeles Goats, Arizona, and Tampa are the 3 teams that are all 12, 15, 17-point favorites, projected for 30, 32, 33 points, like projected to score a ton. But all 3 of those teams, even when they're up, like they don't take the foot off the gas and they don't just become a running team. Like Leonard Fournette has been doing a little with Tampa. Even with Chase Edmonds and James Conner in Arizona, they're not just going to start running them. They still are using the passing game even when they're up down. Like they just continue to let loose. And so that's where in old days of DFS, like I'm not playing a QB or a wide receiver on those teams that are up so much, but I think it's a different game. And especially once again, Los Angeles is going against Detroit, 15-point favorites, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to play like those wide receivers. And Cooper Kupp, he scored his second touchdown when they were already up 2-3 scores with a few minutes, not much time left in the game. They're not letting the foot off the gas. So I am not as concerned as maybe you should, as I would be in other years. But then you do have Kansas City, only a 5.5-point favorite, also projected to score 31, going against Tennessee. We saw what happened with the Tennessee game on Monday night. That game could be very exciting. And I hope we start seeing the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen in previous years. I don't know if it's just a lack of offensive talent, if it is the offensive line, but as you can see, TJ's pushing forward on we went Kansas City. Like that's the one where even though you have those three other teams, they are the 12 plus 14, 15 point favorites. The Kansas City one, we expect that there's going to be a just high scoring and needing to do it to keep outscoring the other team.
A little bit of a game stack here.
After last week, I don't know how you fade Derrick Henry in that same game environment, right? Super high scoring, super competitive against a better defense, and Henry was just absolutely unstoppable. Like his touchdown run I think it was in the first quarter, but like the long 70-yarder is insane. I mean, he's a massive human. He's just running away from defensive backs 40 yards down the field, right? And he's supposed to be Jerome Bettis and like run him over a couple times and get tackled after 15. He's just running away from people. Like this game environment, this scoring, and Tennessee's not going to go away from him. Like I think he's got in another blow-up spot, just like always.
Yeah, Bachman, you're what 6'2", 205, 195?
No, like I'm like 220.
220. Okay, I wasn't sure if you've been losing, but 6'2", 220, 100 times, 100 attempts. Are you tackling Derrick Henry once when he's running at you?
I'm getting hurt on the first attempt, and
it's okay.
Bach's making a business decision to get out of the way, just like everyone in the NFL is right now.
Yeah,
you're fully healthy.
You're paying me enough.
Every time you get fully healthy again, 100 attempts. Do you get him down once? This was the big thing going on.
I mean, I think at some point I'm gonna,
once.
right. Like I'm gonna accidentally trip him after he runs me over and catches heel the wrong way one time. But yeah, goodness.
You definitely get injured more frequently than you tackle him. Actually, no, those two things do not have to be mutually exclusive. You can make the tackle and still get injured at the same time.
I mean, I just want the record to show. Bachman believes he has a better chance of tackling Derrick Henry than me scoring a basketball point against him. I'm also 6'2". I am a little less weight than Bachman, but yeah.
And at wide receiver, we've got, Cooper Kupp just continues to be an absolute monster, leading the charge for the LA Goats. And,
the risk here is Tyler Higbee and Darrell Henderson. That those two could each have huge games, and then that means that the wide receivers just aren't as necessary. And a lot of this really comes down because it's no points per reception to touchdown, so you still need those. So I will say, like, this is a riskier play than we've seen in the past. But I know, like, we're going against Detroit. We did see what the running backs did against Detroit when we were talking Cincinnati earlier. So, like, there is that risk. And I do think this is a time for Higbee to kind of fall in the end zone after getting tackled on the 2 twice last week. But all that said, I still believe that they are the top play, and they have the highest upside on a weekly basis outside of Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll just say this week is particularly hard for wide receivers because, as we talked about, some of those elite position groups are just in such like high variance game environments because their teams could just go way up early and sit on it eventually. Green Bay is probably the best group that's projected to be in a somewhat competitive game. That's still a 7.5 spread. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a wild week.
Yeah. And I mean, Kansas City, but again, like, I just don't want to play Kansas City wide receivers. Yeah.
What about tight ends?
Here comes our pre-filled in Kansas City tight end.
I mean, unless I'm going to play them in the land of the island of misfits, I'm definitely not playing them in the side hustle, but I guess I would play them in my optimal main event if I had to.
Yeah.
There it is. And we get the Arizona defense this week. All right. So no sign of Arizona quarterback or Arizona wide receiver who've been at the top of the side hustle pretty much every week.
Yep.
Defend yourselves.
Question for you, TJ. Arizona, where do you believe they rank in total points as a position group among the defenses this year?
Oh, well, you asking me that means it must be better than Arizona is just a really good football team. Like they just seem like a really well-rounded, all-around team. Are they now the favorite? Like but they're probably getting closer and closer. They're very strong.
They're now a contender. I think they should now be considered a Super Bowl contender because like they beat good teams. They beat the Rams and they beat the Browns. Browns were very injured, so a little tough, but like they're a good team.
So are they top 10 in the defensive scoring for the year? They're number 2.
Number 2.
Interesting. And they've
Buffalo-
played good teams, like you said. So
Yeah.
it's not just like they've had like a cakewalk schedule or anything like that.
Buffalo's number one with like a 6-point lead or something, like far and away number
But Buffalo
one.
also just had that one game against, like, didn't they score a bajillion against Houston the 1 week? Because they got the shutout, especially in our scoring format.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, still, here, I'll pull it up. We don't need a screen share, but let me just do it real quick. So team scoring season, and the Buffalo is okay. So they're 2.5 points higher than the next, which is Arizona, and yeah, they've had a 27, a 28, and a 21 pointer. So
Wow. Awesome. So there we have it. Optimal lineup for the week. Kansas City quarterback, Tennessee running back, Los Angeles Goats wide receiver, Kansas City tight end, and the Arizona defense. We'll check back in next week and see how we do.
And Arizona's playing Houston. Like, until Tyrod comes back, like, you're picking on Houston. There's a reason why they're 17-point favorites.
Is this a troll? Eagles wide receivers?
Yeah, obviously.
It's tough because, like, hey, who are their wide receivers?
Low ball optimal.
Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, Kez Watkins.
Man.
Like,
Watkins
that's not a bad 3 wide receiver. And I think now without Zach Ertz, you may actually see more 3 wide receiver sets rather than going with this 2 tight end. I love it for Goddard as an individual. I think it's bad for the tight end position for Philly. But I could see Philly Eagles wide receivers kind of on the uptick.
Creeping on in. All right. Anything else before we dive into tomorrow night's game and the little new prop contest that we have going on? We'll walk through that. Then, of course, we'll do our prize picks parlay of the week. We've got some giveaways to get to. Lots of fun to end the show here. But any final thoughts to recap week 7?
Nope, I think that sounds good. We are down to around 150 packs. So I know that there's been some people, obviously, if you've got winnings and you want to use those, send us that support message. We can get you some extra packs. And then, you can play up to 42 cards. So we do know there's some people who have been just trying to, especially with buys now, kind of top those off. So let us know earlier the better so we can make sure we can get you those before the weekend.
Yeah, 6 buys this week.
So as everyone knows, we've been doing a giveaway, little fun game format every single Thursday night. Introducing a new one this week where we're going to be, so Justin, our resident bookkeeper now, or bookmaker here at TOC, created his over-under projections for each of the cards that are playing tomorrow night. So we've got Cleveland and Denver. We've got each of his projections for the positions. And then what's the tiebreaker is combined fantasy points. So Justin, talk to the people a little bit about your process here. I think this is a fun little wrinkle and not something that you can just easily find over-unders for. You got to do a little bit of extra research considering the scoring format and all of that. So
I'm not going to give any secrets for the method behind the madness, but I think these are going to be the projections, and I think these are pretty solid. My personal goal, even though this isn't really the goal, but I don't know. Now I'm trying to decide what my goal is. My goal could be to try to get like a 50-50 split on the responses. I think that'd be fun, and I'm kind of manipulating them. So maybe I'm just going to pretend every bet that goes.
Can you move the line? If a bunch of whales come in now during the show, you're going to move the line? How does that work?
I'm going to use this as basically Top Shots in beta. I'm in beta right now for the bookie business here. We're going to see how I would have done. Like, if these were the odds, I'll take my 10% bid and hopefully I can get more of the action on the wrong side. And we're going to continue. These lines don't move. This isn't like horse racing.
Yeah, I saw some tasty ones on there. I'm seeing the
chat. Bach's licking his lips.
I want you to give the people your thoughts. The people didn't come here just to see that I posted the line.
So let's pull it back up real quick.
All right.
So, I mean, I think, again, similar to what we've talked about with the PrizePicks stuff, you're still going to want to be a little bit thoughtful about game script, right? It doesn't make a ton of sense to go Cleveland wide receiver over Cleveland quarterback under. There's more paths to that happening here. I think in general, Denver's defense has probably been a little bit overrated the last couple of weeks. They haven't looked elite. Cleveland's offense has looked like a little bit of a train wreck the last couple of weeks. I think Cleveland's probably going to come out and have to throw the ball more than they want to, given their RBs are banged up. And so I think I like kind of betting on the Cleveland passing game here, in particular the tight ends. And I like betting on Denver to try to run the ball. And so the one line that I saw that I was pretty shocked by was the Denver tight end line. 8.2 seems low, especially coming off the game they just had.
I mean, there's we'll see. We'll see. Doesn't Cleveland wide receivers feel high? Doesn't Cleveland QB feel high with Case Keenum? Like, there's some tasty lines there.
Gonna be fun to see how the people do and how the beta bot ends up in the first week of contest here. So make sure you're hitting up the giveaways channel in the Discord, getting yourself in the mix there. We've also got some other picks to make for tomorrow night, Justin. Let's go ahead and dive into the PrizePicks parlay of the night. Of course, everyone, if you have not already and you are in a state such as New York and others where there's not legal gambling, head on over prizepicks.com. Use promo code TOC. You will receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And also, if you deposit $100 or more, in addition to that, the promotion is still running. You will receive 2 free Owners Club cards drawn at random. So head on over, prizepicks.com, and we're here every night giving you our picks for the Thursday night football game.
All right, so we're doing this live. I haven't had a chance to look at these yet, but it'll be interesting because people can kind of use these. You can use PrizePicks line. You can use this to get an idea of, for my contest, how does that look? So if we take a look here, so we got Cleveland on right now. Ernest Johnson rushing. So they've got mean projection, 19 more, 35%. Demetric Felton under. Odell Beckham under. I mean, this when it's just this much off, I'm usually like, okay, let's frame it around that.
Yeah, and that's one. I mean, that's probably far enough off that you don't even really need to necessarily fit that into a narrative, right? You just got so much upside even in a game script that isn't necessarily built around Ernest Johnson going over to still hit.
Yep. I mean, I don't hate. You could also go Demetric Felton fantasy points under, because if you think that, like, okay, Ernest Johnson is going to be the predominant running back here. From what we've seen, it looks like Felton really does a bit more of the pass catching role, almost like plays that wide receiver. So I don't expect him to steal much from Ernest, and you're kind of making that bet with this.
Yeah. Like it.
Let's go to fantasy score. Where's Felton? Right there. So we'll go under Felton, over to Ernest, and now let's take a look at Denver. See if there's
now, typically I would veto that because we don't allow unders, but it's almost like we're just doubling down on the first over, so it's okay.
Smart. Perfect.
Right. As long, it's all about how you frame the narrative. So I just wanted to, usually unders are not allowed on this show.
Appreciate that. So when we look here from Melvin Gordon over is the most desirable one, but I definitely don't want to go with 2 overs for running backs with rushing, because you expect that really only one of those two, one team is going to be ahead in rushing, one team's not. So I'd probably fade that. The Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant are then the 2 that are kind of more desirable to me. It's about the same raw, but the percentage is a bit more in the Noah. Bach, I know you were touting the Noah Fant a little earlier. What do you think?
Sutton's so I was just looking. He was a little limited this week in practice yesterday, or I guess this was Monday. The fact that we haven't heard anything since then makes me think that he's probably fine. I think Fant's an awesome talent, especially operating as basically their number 2 wide receiver right now. So I think I would lean that one.
Oh, Fant staying limited. Cortland's been such a beast, though. His target share has been monstrous. Let's see. Yeah, that's a difficult one. He's had 3 dud games and then 3 really strong games. And so what was the Noah Fant? Let's see. No, we're looking at What was the total? 42 we need to get up. Bad. I know historically, like you kind of want to throw again, use those tight ends against them, against the Browns. So I don't hate it. So what we go? We'll go Noah Fant over.
Let's do it.
And if he doesn't play, then it'll, that'll get dropped out. It'll turn into a 2. And we do not want to do the flex play. We're going power play. We're going $20. So we got over D'Ernest Johnson, 55 rushing yards, under Demetric Felton, 7 fantasy points, and over 41.5 receiving yards for Noah Fant. Lock it in.
Boom. There it is, everyone. Go ahead. Check out PrizePicks. Tail the bot and Bach as we look to make a little Monday on a Thursday night. Speaking of, I guess not making money, but giveaways. It's kind of like making money. It's just getting something for free.
Value for money.
Good. Which one do we want to start with?
Let's start with PrizePicks. We're on PrizePicks.
PrizePicks, yep. Got our weekly PrizePicks giveaway. So how do people become eligible for this again? You need to post a 3-leg plus parlay win. Is that this one?
You gotta post a 3-leg parlay. You gotta go 3 for 3, 4 for 4, 5 for 5. And just put it in the chat and you get in the wheel. And so I think we had around 20, 21, 22, something like that this time.
Man, less than we had in the past. Better odds to win a card.
Oh, just waited till we get to Thrive.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Spin that wheel. Best of luck, everyone.
All right, we're spinning. A lot of familiar names. Is it going to be T. Patron or Montreal? Oh, it made the line. T. Patron 12. Congratulations. We will reach out. Congratulations on your TOC card.
Patron. Free card.
Okay.
And we're moving over to the Thrive Fantasy. This is where anyone that places above Justin in the contest gets onto the wheel. We've got a pretty empty wheel here, Justin. So empty that Arnie started barking because Arnie's like, I want to get my name on that wheel. How do I get on the wheel? When wheel? How can I beat my father?
Oh, SB Mitchell. All right. So yeah, we only have 5 people. This is the most plus EV part of TOC. If people are it takes a little more time to actually go through, and hey, you got to enter. There are you got to pick 10 props and stuff. But yeah, if you actually hey, take that time. I think you only needed to finish in the top 50, 55 percentile. I am 2 for 2 at finishing right about middle of the pack. So it is not by lack of competition that there are so few people here, or it is by lack of competition, not due to my competition. So definitely join Thrive Fantasy, use TOC, and all you got to do is just enter that $20 main event. And basically, if you finish in about the top half, you're going to end up on here. I'm sorry, Chris Adams. That is only more embarrassing than my poor effort too. So
go ahead, spin that wheel.
Good luck.
Only a few names. I see Sergeant Stogie.
Montreal almost won the other. Now he's got a 1 in 5 chance. And wow, what if Montreal would have won both? That would have been something special. There you go. Montreal Dragons. Congratulations. Almost won the previous one. Ends up winning the Thrive as well. Well done. Well done.
Good deal. Any final words before we close out the show here? Good show tonight. Good show. Good discussion.
Yeah, I know, if you didn't listen last week, we talked a lot about getting ahead of Thursday. This Thursday gives us another game with probably more low ball implications than top scores, but you're definitely going to want to be thinking about how to get ahead of that and not just reacting in the moment.
What are you so what would you be buying in the marketplace for the Thursday? Honestly, I think if people want to use those projections that I put out for the Thursday night, that should give a general idea of who we think has a better chance from a low ball standpoint. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Cleveland quarterback is absolutely one that, I think the line's fair, but you can pretty easily come to a game script where that's just an absolute bomb. I think the same with Cleveland wide receivers. I think the same with Cleveland tight ends. Like Cleveland passing game is one that I would probably be buying right now. It's probably cheap. It's got some short-term line of sight to being really bad, and then it's got line of sight to still being playable in the future in other contests as well.
Yeah, like you're not buying Cleveland Browns for the low ball. The Cleveland running backs for the low ball. That's still going to be a very expensive card and a high value for when they're healthy again. But Cleveland tight ends have not been doing much. And that's one of those ones that I feel still actually like Njoku's kind of showing up. Like that might have some value going forward. But yeah, I would definitely be sweeping the floor, at least for the Cleveland QBs, just with the upside that maybe they end up being that kind of great low ball play with Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Plus, I love the art on the Cleveland card.
So good.
It's a great one. One of my faves. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back on Monday for the NFT Weekly Kickoff Show, talking some Top Shot, talking everything else going on in this NFT world. And that'll do it for this evening. So on behalf of Justin, on behalf of Bach, and producer Coop behind the scenes, I'm TJ Lasig. We'll see you guys next time.